Hi, I'm Anthony Analetto, president of the equipment division here at Sonny's. And I know you're all wondering what's with the bow tie, but today I'm here to be with Anthony and Danny Daniele of the Royal Car Wash at the first of their 3 locations that they've opened in Rochester, New York. The location behind me finished its first full year of operation at 100,000 cars, and today, after only 4 years, is projected to wash over 270,000 cars. But the huge growth isn't the reason I want to introduce you to the Daniele family. When you look at the wash behind me, it's hard to imagine that, as Danny says, the building a car wash in the town of Brighton, where it now sits, was actually illegal when they first started. Whereas some investors would have moved on to something else, the Danieles took it as a challenge. This is a true story of one of my favorite sayings: the harder you work, the luckier you get. The Danieles are a family of serial entrepreneurs, owning everything from restaurants, marinas, apartment buildings, along with the Daniele Construction Company, which makes this all happen. I'm actually honored that the family agreed to do this video. Let's meet Danny and Anthony now to take us on a behind-the-scenes look at the culture, the passion, and intensity that this family has leveraged to do the impossible since 1969. Hey, Danny.
Anthony, thank you. Anthony, welcome to Rochester.
Hey, thanks for having us come back up here.
Absolutely, thanks for coming to see us up here in Rochester.
It's been a little while since we came up here and did a little pre-construction meeting before we built this first site.
Yep.
Things have been going real well. We're up to 3 sites now.
Yes, and we're working on 2 more.
Working on more.
And we're excited to have the relationship we have with you guys, and you've been a big part of our success. The Sonny's group give us the. You said we had the magic at this location, and I said the magic was us finding Sonny's to allow us to do what we do.
I think the people really need to know where you guys come from, the industry. I mean, I love the first part of your family business, which is the restaurant.
Right.
I love the food service business. But tell me a little bit about how your dad got started in this town.
So both my parents came from Italy when they were in their teens, and they started a restaurant, pizzeria. They've been doing that for 40 years. My brother Anthony and I have been working in the restaurant business our whole life. And what really gave us the entrepreneurial spirit was my father coming from Italy with absolutely nothing and starting and creating a great businesses, multiple restaurants. And we learned customer service, and we learned how to get things done. We became very resourceful. So after learning a lot of those intricacies of just running a business, we kind of had the feeling that we can run any kind of business as long as you followed the right steps and really focused on the customer and the product. This product came available, this particular location came available. A gentleman was looking to sell us a laser wash system, and my father was talking to the gentleman in the office, and he had said to my brother and myself, "What do you guys think about putting a laser wash on this site that's been vacant for 9 years?" It was an old mobile gas station. And we said, well, if we're going to spend the money to buy this site, we probably want to put a conveyor on there so we can do a lot more cars. We're not big on the laser washes for this type of style with this traffic. So we both, that night, we went on Google and we Googled a bunch of information just to figure out what's the car wash industry all about. We knew absolutely nothing other than a customer who's gone through car washes before. That next morning, we both came in, we both had the same pieces of paper with chicken scratches, and it said, wow, I think a car wash business over there would do really well. It's got a lot of traffic, it's got enough space, and we came across the Sonny's website. It was the first time we learned about the name, and it was very well laid out. We could see some prices. It was nice because we had no idea how much it was going to cost to open up a car wash. We didn't know if it would be $50 million or $50,000. And it was nice that there were some basic prices on there, and it was information that was gave us the ability to put a proforma together, which we're very big on the numbers to see if it makes sense.
Right, and our business is customer service, and what we looked for is we needed a partner who knew how to wash cars. I mean, we didn't know how to wash cars. We were restaurant people, we're customer service people, and when we looked around at who the suppliers were, we both independently came to the same conclusion and said, look at this website, look at these guys, look at their success stories. These guys know how to wash a car, we know how to make people happy.
If you can focus on the customer service, if you can focus on creating a culture of teamwork, of these gentlemen that we have working for us and ladies that do an outstanding job, it really creates this product that in our region existed, but not to the caliber that we believe it exists. Our guys wear bow ties, they're always smiling. Our number one criteria for hiring anyone into our team is, how do you present yourself and do you smile? Because if you're not naturally smiling, it's not the right fit for this business.
Every interview criteria is you sit down, you talk to the person for about 3 minutes. If they haven't been smiling for 3 minutes, the interview is over.
When we opened up here on Monroe Avenue, our first year we did about 100,000 cars. And then we've been, the second year we went up about 40%, the next year about 30%, the next year 30%. This past year we were up another 25%. I mean, we're really hitting some crazy numbers here, and I'm glad to see that without the free vacuums. The location in Greece, it started at about our second or third year's numbers, and it's growing at the same pace.
Really?
So there's a chance that that location may actually supersede this location because it's a bigger spot.
Yep.
It's about the same amount of traffic. Over here we have 45,000 cars on Monroe Avenue, plus about another 20,000 on Clover Street. So it's a lot of cars on the intersection. It's great frontage. You can see the signs. We're not allowed to have a pillar sign. We have to push for these signs, but we tried to make something that was classy. And the location, with the aesthetics, the curb appeal, we want it to look like almost like a fancy bank.
I think the people that are going to watch this video, they really need to learn about that entrepreneurial spirit and the desire to get something done. This wasn't easy to do, right? The numbers that you talked about a minute ago and the growth is fantastic, and there's a reason for that, right? This one. What I know, there's a cartoon caricature on the wall in your dad's office of this car wash with nothing but city municipal vehicles going through there, because basically that's what it was like.
Right.
Tell them a little bit about how hard it was to get the permits for this property.
So when we went to the town and brought up the idea of putting a car wash on the site, the first response was, it sounds like a great idea, guys, but unfortunately car washes are not allowed in this town.
They're actually illegal. They are prohibited by law.
It's a long-standing law that they had, because in the old days, car washes, kind of like dry cleaners or adult bookstores almost, they weren't good for the neighborhood. But what people don't realize when they look at the success of this facility and they say, wow, it must be nice to own that car wash, you guys got lucky, they don't know that on that last vote, we were there for 6-7 hours. They didn't vote till midnight. There's 5 people up there. This was the last time they were going to vote. And we're sitting there after spending now $180,000, $190,000, almost $200,000 in nothing. I mean, just paperwork that at the end of the day, if they would have said no, that would have been wasted money. And we're sitting there waiting, and they're saying, who's in favor, say aye. Aye. It was like aye, the first one was an aye, the first one was a no, second one was an aye, the next one was a no,
that was 2-2.
And then the last one was a yes.
After about 5 minutes,
3-2.
she just looked up, and she was one of the ones that originally was a no.
Really?
And she came back and she was like, yes, and it was like, oh my God. So, again, the hindsight, it was not easy, but it turned out to be a great product. And now we've opened 2 other facilities. We've set a precedent in the market for the quality of product that we put out, the building. Needless to say, when we go to a town and say we're going to put a car wash at that corner, it's difficult for them to say no, because I think they know
the story already, right? They're local enough.
Yeah, there's as I'm sure the people watching this video, people that have car washes, there's always a lot more to the story, and it's never quite as simple as the nice picture of the 2 brothers standing in front of a successful car wash. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it every day.
Our second car wash we did in the town up the street called Henrietta, night and day with the town that we're in, Brighton. And I say Brighton, it's a great town. It's not that they're anti-business, it's just it's the culture of they want to keep things the way they are. We went in Henrietta, we put the plan together on a very tight site. We went to a meeting, showed them the plan, they voted, they said yes, and at the end of the meeting, this is maybe 60 days worth of work. We looked at ourselves and said, did they just approve the project?
Right. We were like, what did they approve? Did they approve seeker?
We're asking our engineers and our lawyers.
And they're like, no, you're all done. You just got to go pull the building permit. And we looked at each other with our jaw dropped like, how did that happen in 60 days? Yeah.
When we opened up, we had 3 car wash prices, $7.95, $9.95, and $12.95. And we thought we were going to kill it from day one. In the restaurant business, when you open up your restaurant, for the first 6 months, it's the busiest 6 months you're ever going to have. It's called the honeymoon period. Okay. So we thought we were going to have a honeymoon period with car wash. So we opened up, we got everything all set. Yeah. Open, car wash open.
After 3 years of approvals and everything else.
And we're sitting here, we're waiting for cars to come in, and nobody's coming in.
This is what happens when somebody who's never been in the car wash business gets in the car wash.
So okay, call the printer, get free car wash signs. We had guys out there with free car wash just to get some people in the damn car wash. I mean, nobody was coming out and saying nobody. The first month I think we did 4,500 cars. Now that was not hitting our pro forma. Right. So now we're looking at each other like, I think we're a bunch of idiots. We just spent like almost $200,000 to get this thing approved, a couple $1 million to build it. Yeah. We got a pro forma that says it's supposed to work and nothing's happening. We were getting kind of nervous. A month goes by, 2 months goes by. It was growing, but it was like 4,500 the first month, then maybe 6,000, 6,500. And it was just a slow growth, and it seemed really dead. There were days, like a day like this, let's say, and you're like, what the hell's going on? I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. So I got a little nervous. I brought the price down from $7.95 to $5.55. So with tax in New York State, it came to $5.99. So I put some signs out there for $5.55. Our Freedom Plan, we call it our Royal Wash Club, started at $16.95. And we only had a few people signing up. It wasn't a big thing. After we brought the price to $5.55 for the base, it seemed like we were getting a little bit more traffic. Now, in retrospect, I look back and say, I don't know if it was so much the $5.55 as it was just the time of the restaurant, the restaurant being open, of the car wash being open. And it started to grow and grow. And now after a year and a half, 2 years, we were starting to hit really good numbers, going well above where we thought we were going to hit. And that's when we started bringing our prices up. When we opened up our second location, we had learned that the beginning takes a long time to start. So when we opened up our Jefferson Road location, we started at $9.99 for the unlimited plans. And when we did that, we changed the price here as well. And we put a new sign out, $9.99. The hard thing to swallow was I had a lot of people at $16.95, and I had to move them to $9.99. I mean, that's tough. But I kept listening to and reading articles that you've written and other people have written. We've gone to different seminars. And they had all said, you've really got to get them going and you've got to use the base price. We went to $9.99. We doubled the amount of Freedom Pass customers we had in probably 8 months. And we kept it at $9.99 for a full year. And after that, we brought the price up to, I believe, $12.95. And when we opened up the third location, we realized whenever we open up a new location, we're going to do for the first year, it's $9.99 if you sign up at that location. When we opened up our third location, we hit 2,000 members in probably 8 months, which was incredible for us at least. I don't know what I have an idea what the industry is, but it seems pretty good. We were very happy with that. So now a year has passed with our third location, and we've brought our prices up to now $16.95 for our base. And we've done that because there are days where it's just so busy. When the sun comes out, it's crazy, and we pride ourselves on a quick express. And when the lines are constantly too long, we're worried that people are not going to want to come back because they want to wait in the line.
So that's still a big part of your business? I mean, I see them rolling through. Pretty clean cars, they love to wash.
I would say 55%.
Yeah, I would say probably 50 to 60% of the vehicles are the Fast Pass customers. And they represent probably 40% of the revenues.
Tell me about the employees. There's quite a few people here today. I know that we're doing the video shoot, but what's the normal staffing like for you guys?
So when we open up in the morning, we start with 2 guys. We've gone to 2 just for safety reasons. And we run 2 usually till about 9 o'clock. I should also say we open at 7 a.m. and we close at 9:30 p.m. The locations we're in have a lot of traffic, so we want to take advantage of the equipment we have. There's a lot of people that like to get their cars washed on their way to work, so 7 a.m. to 9:30. We open with 2, and we usually close with 2. If it's a day like this, we normally would maybe have 2 or 3. We wouldn't go above 3. If the sun was out today, obviously, as we all know, it's very weather dependent. So if we had, if today was a sunny day, we'd probably be doing 1,200 or 1,300 cars. We would probably have 5 guys on, where you've got some rotating going on. You've got a guy working at the XPTs, making sure everything's okay. Hopefully, a kid can talk and help to sell some of the passes if necessary. Someone comes in if there's an issue with their Fast Pass. But 5 is about the normal number on a crazy busy day. The toughest part is in the wintertime, keeping everybody happy and keeping them smiling. In the summertime, when the sun's out, everyone's smiling and it's great. You know, the number one compliment we get in the car washes is, your people are great. Every time I come in there, they're smiling. I just feel good. Sometimes I come in just to see your people working, which is a great compliment.
We saw that when we came in. And the other part is that they haven't seen them yet, but they will in a minute when they walk around with the cameras. But the uniform, you know, kind of like maitre d's or servers at the restaurant. We got bow ties, we got button-down shirts.
Yeah, my brother actually came up with an idea. We always like to have uniforms that stand out a little bit. And in the old days, of old, when you went to the car stations, everyone had a bow tie. And with the restaurant business, we're big on uniforms. So we kind of brought that aspect into the car wash.
Actually, I stole it from one of the car wash shows in Vegas, probably one of the first ones we went to. And I don't remember if it was Sonny's or whose it was, but it was kind of like a retro look billboard or advertisement, and the kid had a bow tie, and I go, that's awesome. You got to do the bow tie. I'm like, oh, but that's from the 50s. I go, I understand, but it stands out, you know. And for the clientele we deal with, and you know, at the end of the day, like we said, I mean, the equipment's doing all the work. Our guys are just smiling and looking good. I think going to the culture again of what we're doing. the smile on the face of the employee, the look that they present is as much what we're selling as a clean car.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. It's hard to give customer service when you're an express car wash and you're not greeting the customer.
Right. You're not
it's all the smile on your face, the appearance and the look, and that's what the customer sees.
And we're honored that, given that we don't talk to a customer, we just look at them for a moment through the window, that our number one compliment is the staff. When we first opened up on those winters, my brother and I, you'll often see that even my father, we're out here in our suit and ties and we're spraying cars. And people love it. They eat it up. And plus, we've been here our whole lives, so we know a lot of people. And we try not to do it too often because, frankly, it slows down the line because everybody wants to say hello. But it's great fun. But we realized how hard it is to work in that weather, so we said, well, let's give them every tool that we can give them so that they're comfortable.
The name tags was another, who cares what their name is, right? It's an express wash. There's not a lot of verbal interaction. But the reality is on social media, on our emails, when we get an email that says, hey, I just want to let you know Anthony was doing a great job today. Yeah. He looked great. He was smiling, made me feel comfortable. Giving them that kind of feedback, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. Sometimes people ask, our employees will say, what exactly is the business you guys do? And our business, what we've been able to create is a machine that releases endorphins in human beings.
It's a feel good.
And because of that, they pay us reoccurring every month on their credit card. And that's the business we're in. It's the endorphin they feel at the end of the tunnel. How do we make sure that they feel it every time? And that's the trick.
One of the things, the first car wash, pretty easy. You get entrenched, you get to do it. Now you build one more, now you got 3. So we're here and there's a bunch of guys smiling. How do we keep them all doing that in the 3 stores? What are you guys doing to maintain this attitude, to maintain this level of service?
So I think the first and foremost, we have a manager meeting every Friday, 9 a.m. in our offices. We bring in the site managers from all the locations, we have 3 locations in one town, so but we bring them together. We have a 1 to 2 hour meeting where we really do bring everything together, make sure we're all on the same page. Talk about employee issues, talk about culture. Review comments that we've gotten from customers, and we take for granted that those meetings, every week, a lot of the stuff is the same stuff, but it really is the cornerstone of keeping the consistency and making sure that all of our locations, all our managers are on the same page, and from an ownership standpoint, it gives us that one touch point a week where I can hear what's going on. If something's coming off the track, no pun intended, I'm knowing about it right away. I'm not going to find out about it 3 weeks later. And and after that, I think it's really hiring. It's our hiring standards. It's not dropping the ball on waiting until we have a sunny Saturday and saying, where am I going to dig some people up to come work at the wash? I mean, that's disaster. In the making. You're compromising your culture when you do that. So you really have to stay on top of the hiring and make sure that you have a good bench of people that you're taking care of. So that when you do have those big days, you're equipped with the right people.
Yeah. It's the one-on-ones that we have with the managers and the employees. So we have the manager meeting once a week for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. But when you see something that's not going right, taking them aside and having a conversation, we call it redirecting. That's what managing is redirecting, saying, listen, I understand you walk this way, I want you to walk this way. On the flip side, when you're seeing them doing really well, and we try and do this more often, it's taking Anthony aside and saying, Anthony, I just want to let you know, I've been watching, and you're smiling constantly, and you're making the interaction, and we're spending 15 or 20 minutes with an individual, letting them know that we really appreciate what they're doing, and that's worth more than anything else. I mean, that's the gold of keeping them happy and creating that culture.
I couldn't be more excited about your success and what's going on here.
Thank you.
The videos are great because it allows people to see another aspect of the business and how it can be done and what it takes to do it, the passion that lives. And you guys are it. You guys, again, what we call today our forward-thinking car wash professional. You're both standing here in suits. It's not for the video. I mean, this is what you guys live this life. Between the food business, you're involved in the community and local politics. We get all that. I mean, I get it anyway, but now people are seeing the different side of the car wash business. But they're going to watch this. Some new investors are going to watch this that were you guys, 3 years prior to this site opening. What's the one thing you can tell a new investor today that will help them in their quest to try to become a car wash operator?
Have a brand standard. Which for the brand standard, I guess I would say our brand standard revolves around customer service and culture in our organization. I point out that it has nothing to do with cleaning cars. Obviously you have to clean a car. But that happens by partnering with the right people. You know, as a guy opening a car wash, that shouldn't be, if I'm worrying about that, then I haven't partnered with the right people. I should be worrying about the culture in my organization and maintaining my brand standard. My brother's great at it. I mean, the signage, the way the building looks, is the grass cut? I mean, how does this place feel when you pull in? And if it feels good to be here, then I've accomplished my brand standard. If I'm letting things go and turning my back on problems that I'm having with my culture or with my brand, then you're not going to grow and you're not going to ultimately be successful. You may have a short run at it. You may get lucky, but that's not how you succeed.
Yeah, brand standard. I think it's it's a very impactful statement. I would answer the question as to what do I think is one of the most important aspects of going into the car wash business. My answer would be this brand standard, but probably even more importantly, that you can't do it alone. As a human, we have two hands. And in this operation, I can't do it all with these two hands. I can't make the equipment, I can't develop the software, I can't wash the cars. You're going to be partnering with other people, whether it's manufacturers, whether it's employees, whether it's the town. Knowing if you are the type of person that you can work with others and help to lead that organization. And ultimately, it starts with yourself. And one of the things I learned in the past 10, 15 years is to become a better leader, you need to be able to manage yourself. And it just starts with that. Because if I'm getting upset and I can't control myself, if the employees are doing a terrible job and I say, how many times do I got to tell you to wear your hat? The problem wasn't the employee, the problem was me. He's not wearing his hat because of me, not because he chose not to. And it's finding out, it's the self-realization that if you want to be successful in any business, so whether it's a lemonade stand or a car wash, you're going to be partnering with a lot of different people. And be really picky about who you choose to partner with. Be really picky with who you choose as an employee. Be really picky about your equipment manufacturers, your software. More so than, like my brother said, it's not so much the equipment, because frankly, anybody can make the equipment. Anyone can make the equipment you guys are making, but nobody can service the equipment the way you guys service it at Sonny's. Nobody can wash a car the way we do because we have a brand standard much like you. And I think being able to lead yourself so that you can lead others is probably one of the most important things for you to grow and become a successful business.
I just want to take this moment to thank the Daniele family for letting us come up here to Rochester, New York to visit and tour their car washes and get a little bit intimate with them and let you folks know what it takes to really be an entrepreneur and try to overcome obstacles, break down the barriers, and actually become successful doing what you love to do. It certainly shows here that if you have the passion and desire to do something, you can get it done. Even if it's an absolutely non-allowed use in a city and town, there are ways to make it happen. It may cost you a little bit more money, but if the property's worth it and you really want to do it, you can get it done. As well, I want to thank them for letting us come up here and show us around and let us go to all their stores and give us their feedback and their numbers. And really appreciate that there, and I hope you learned a lot from this video. And as always, good luck and good washing.